Peace, everyone, and welcome to Morning Meta. Today is Thursday, so we're having our community conversation. Yes.
Yes.
Now, before we get into the community conversation, take us through a grounding. What do you have in store for us today?
Well, what we're going to do today for our grounding practice is we're going to ground by noticing the feet, noticing the belly, and relaxing the shoulders. So we're going to use those three places to bring us into the present moment. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, I want to invite you to take a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, bring that awareness to the feet. So let's begin. Inhaling, exhaling, noticing the feet and the toes. Inhaling again, exhaling, bringing awareness to the belly. Inhaling again, exhaling, notice and relaxing the shoulders. And allow your breath to return to its normal cadence, allowing the body to relax. Yes.
Nice. That was a
Mhm.
nice practice, hitting those points
Mhm.
in the body. All
Yes.
right, so let's set an intention for today. Remember that the intention is a very important part of the mindfulness practice that we're doing here each day. So just take some time to think about how you want to show up. Is it a certain way you want to show up for yourself and or others? Is there a certain way that you want to have a mindset about how things go today? Maybe to be more positive or kind to yourself? Or it could be that you want to just really focus in on something specific. Whatever it is, take the next 5 to 10 seconds to set an intention for today. All right. Final reminder is to do your best to allow the intention to unfold as it is
Mhm.
without getting too caught up in the outcome.
Mhm.
Mhm. Now,
Yes.
for our centering thought, what do we have today?
All right, good people. Our centering thought is coming from an ancestor, Booker T. Washington. And the centering thought is: in all things that are purely social, we can be as separate as the fingers, yet one as the hand in all things essential to mutual progress. And you know, if it's nice, we got to read it twice.
Yes, I do.
Yes. So, in all things that are purely social, we can be as separate as the fingers, yet one as the hand in all things essential to mutual progress.
Hmm.
So, what comes up for you when you hear that quote?
That's interesting. I'm thinking about social things and being separate, and yet, as the quote was saying, being one when it comes to things that are central to progress. It's something to sit. It's something to really sit with. I'm thinking about right now the things that are going on currently, and it seems like, and I'm using that word intentionally, seems like there's just so much division, more division than you could even imagine. And I think a lot of that has to do with, what is put out into the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about how a lot of that division is around those things that are like social,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then, or not, but, and then even with all of that going on, you still have groups of people that are coming together around a unifying cause.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you think about what's been going on in different parts of the country around immigration and some of the things that we've seen, everyone that is in these places may not agree or unite around all the same things socially,
Mm-hmm.
but they're coming together around that particular issue, what they're
Mm-hmm.
seeing as justice, or what they're seeing as injustice, or both. kind of
Hmm.
thing. So those are a few things that kind of came to mind um, when I thought about that quote.
Hmm.
What about you?
I like that. I'm thinking somewhat along the same lines. I think um, I love looking at the idea of Black liberation,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that many of us, we have different religions, different ways of worshiping. We have different views on what success may look like. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going that route. But what comes to mind is thinking about a potluck. So we all may bring something different to the potluck,
Mm-hmm.
but we are all united on making sure everyone is fed. You know. So when you begin looking at um, when you bring that to Black liberation, we may all have these different ways of seeing what is important to us individually. But when we begin thinking about the collective, about Black people progressing, then there is only one way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's essential for healing to occur. You know, we often talk about healing and well being. And
Yeah.
for our good folks who are listening today, I
Mm-hmm.
think we want to define that. So, healing is the return to balance. And that balance can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be physical, and it can be spiritual and social. So, those things coming back into balance in those places in your life, um, by the definition that we hold, that is the healing process. And the other piece to that is well being. And well being is being able to maintain um, those the balance in those areas. So when we begin talking about Black liberation, we must talk about healing first. You know, so we are united around this understanding that healing is essential
Mm-hmm.
to Black liberation. So we're in the work that we're doing with IM, and then the work that we do in the communities, the programs that we provide is to that end. The morning meta, what we're doing now, this is to really support healing. Many people who are on their healing journey watch this show and they set their intention, they do a mindfulness practice, and all of these things to really support them in their healing journey,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And we may all look at it differently,
Right.
but ultimately, that healing leads to liberation. So that's important for us to really pay attention to and note.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with healing as this return to balance.
Hmm.
And as we've said before, when we talk about balance, we are not talking about a balance in the sense that every aspect of our lives is at 100%.
Hmm.
Really, the balance is more about looking at how you kind of go in and out of
Mm.
different areas of life. So with your health and well-being, there's so many different dimensions: your physical, your emotional, your spiritual, mental.
Mhm.
Then you have financial health,
Mhm.
and then what they call now, I believe, is like your occupational health, so work,
Mhm.
and then you can even go into social, which is your
Yes.
relationships. And so it doesn't, the balance doesn't mean that everything is at 100%, but it means that you are paying attention to these aspects and saying, and just being aware of, like, okay, so here I'm really out of balance. And because I'm aware that I'm really out of balance in this particular area, and it could be your physical, right?
Mhm.
Because you pay attention to that and notice that, then you can be intentional about doing certain things. Oh, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat healthier,
Mhm.
things like that. It's not that you set up all those things for your physical health and then you're also at the same time trying to
Mhm.
make sure that everything else is perfect, but just it's sort of like it's an ebb and flow. I
Mm.
think the healing, that return to balance piece, as well as the well-being, because well-being is the maintenance. So the
Mhm.
maintenance means is that you're going to constantly be flowing,
Mhm.
ebbing and flowing in and out of these different areas. um, and to kind of tie it back into what you were saying about, we may look different, have different religion, all these different things. I think that that's why it's important to define all of these different terms,
Mm-hmm.
because what can happen is that we can have this understanding that, oh yes, healing is so important, but if I have defined healing as something completely different than what
Mm-hmm.
you've defined it as, then maybe in my mind I'm thinking like, oh well, that's wrong, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, oh that's wrong, that's the wrong way, I need to just be over here. When really what that quote and what I hear you saying and what we're saying is that regardless of you know the pathway and how, the main piece is that understanding that the healing is important.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost
Absolutely.
like having a common goal,
Mm-hmm.
even though people are seeing different pathways to get there,
Yes.
which to me makes sense because my life looks very different from your life and someone else's life. So I couldn't tell someone, okay, here's the path that I took. Here's exactly the steps in
Mm-hmm.
the route that I did. And now I'm going to give that to you. You do it. But that
Mm-hmm.
may not work for you because your life looks different from mine. But what we both have an understanding of and what we both connect and unify around is that there needs to be a path.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I think
mhm.
you've touched on those three elements of healing that we talk about. I love this conversation. I love where you're going with this. So for those who are hearing us maybe for the first time to understand some of our philosophy, the philosophy at the Institute, you know, we define healing for you, and that's the return to balance in those areas. Returning to balance in mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and social, returning to balance there and maintaining that through well-being. Now, these three essential elements of healing, Camilla, what you just shared speaks to those things. It's that path, the path to healing, the road that you take in order to heal. And it is also the belief that healing is possible, you know. So, and the other piece to that, which is essential, is a community
Yeah.
to heal in. So when you begin bringing all of this together, the elements that we've mentioned, when you begin your healing journey, and by being present to your healing and being open, your path to liberation will begin to unfold naturally. Because I believe that in order to connect with the ancestors, your lineage, it is necessary to be present, and it's necessary to be on that healing path, because there you need to be open so that there's a connection there. And that to me speaks to spirituality as well.
No, absolutely. That's a really important piece. And I think where you landed on that, once you take the steps onto the path,
Mm-hmm.
everything starts to open up, because
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it starts to open up space. So now you have space for what you really need to come into your life, to come into your experience. And that could be from many different places. It could be people, things,
Mm-hmm.
books, whatever. But in order to be open enough, you have to first, I believe anyway, um, get into a place where you are stopping or pausing or
Mm-hmm.
getting still.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's really like the pre to all of this, because we've talked about this before. If you're constantly in distraction, constantly in chaos and confusion, then you're not seeing all the things that are right there
Mm-hmm.
that can be possibly helpful, that can be a part of your healing. You have to be in a place where you are still, and not
Mm.
still, and not literally still, like, okay, now I'm gonna sit back and not do nothing and let it fall into my lap, not that kind of still, but the stillness of your mind,
Mm-hmm.
the stillness of the body, in terms of all of the sort of anxious energy and all the things that may be coming up in the body, and then the stillness also in the spirit, so the mind, body, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you said, it starts to come to you and be revealed to you, because now you have the clarity to actually see what's there for
Mm-hmm.
you, and the space to let those things in.
Yeah, yeah. I love this. I think we're I'm going to say this. This is definitely a part two type
Mhm.
conversation,
Oh, yeah.
because I think that one of the things I would love to touch on, and the next time we talk about this, we'll talk about what happens when you're feeling resistance
Mhm.
to what is coming up for you, and how do you cultivate that discernment? I think I said that right.
Mhm.
Discernment,
Mhm.
right? You got me. How do you cultivate the discernment to understand and to know the direction you need to go once you step onto the path?
Mhm.
Because you're going to be faced with many decisions and many things to support you as you move towards liberation. You know, that's why it's so important to have a community.
Yes.
So, a community of people who are dedicated to this liberation and to this healing in the same way that you are, so that you can see that reflected back to you. You know, so I'm going to pause there
Yeah.
because I want to talk about this next thing,
Mhm.
but I also know that we're coming up on time, and so
Yeah, and we'll have a part 2 and 3 and 4
yeah,
and
absolutely.
and so forth. So this is a good start. And I think that the call to action for today, given the conversation that we just had,
Mhm.
could be to just reflect. That's the call to action. So we're going to invite everyone to reflect for themselves. Are you on the path to healing? Do you think you are? And if you feel like you aren't on the path to healing, then you can reflect upon what do you think needs to be in place or happen. So we just talked about the stopping, the getting still.
Mhm.
And so that could be a part of the reflection. Am I in a place where I'm open to getting still,
Mhm.
to pausing, to stopping, to resting, to calming, all of those things? Let's reflect upon that as we think about this pathway to healing. That's
Mhm.
our call to action today. What kind of reflection do you want to do around
Mhm.
this?
Can I add something to
Mm-hmm.
that? In thinking about those three elements that we named, belief that healing is possible, the path, and community. So as a part of the
Mm-hmm.
reflection that Camilla invited you all to do is look at those three areas in your life, and do you believe? You know, are you on a pathway? And do you have people around you that support this healing journey that you're starting or that you're on? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. All right, everyone. So if you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to share this channel with any and everyone that could benefit from it. Anything else?
No, we can go ahead and say the jingle and get out of here.
All right. Well, join us again tomorrow, everyone. We're appreciative and thankful for you being here with us. And we're going to start each and every day grounded, intentional, and connected.
Ashe.
Ashe.